we've asked your favourite YouTubers to send in their bikes to be roasted.
You doing the flames?
Yeah.
Flames happening now.
Yeah. All right, last episode, the bikes were too nice, so they were very hard to roast. I'm going to try very hard today to actually roast. Such a sick bike.
Can't get enough of it. I'll come and find it.
Cam Jeffers' dad, baller.
Undo that bit.
Please roast it.
Assume everything in this video, kit, helmet, glasses, bikes, all of it is sponsored. First up, Keira McVitty, ex-pro cyclist for the WNT team, lives in Girona and now makes vlogs and lifestyle videos on YouTube.
Hey, my name is Keira McVitty and this is my Ribble Gravel SL. Hope you like it, Francis.
What about me? All right, fine.
Well, I sent the messages out.
Blue Ribble, Spotty Fork, SRAM Force, group set, power meter.
Photo taken at an event. I reckon that's Grallock. There's a thing on this bike that in the past would have been roasted, probably by me being stupid idiot, and now I would like to think is celebrated, which is a little bag that goes on the top tube, which is extremely convenient and full of tasty snacks. SRAM Force, 1x.
Yeah.
Explore.
Specialized tires. I'm gonna guess that they are whatever Keira had lying around that she slung on a bike, which is very common for people in our world to do.
Used to be sponsored by Specialized.
She did.
That was that WNT team.
Right.
Yeah.
Bottle of Sprite, like Sprite. It is touching the bike.
Oh, that's a roast, isn't it? Look, I'm trying to roast. Sprite's horrible. Again, not really a roast, but excellent number zip tie. But that is.
That's pro. That's someone that's a pro, isn't it?
She knows what she's doing. You turn up to these races and they give you a big square number and they're like, make sure it's visible. You're supposed to just put it on the front and ruin all of the aero of your bike, your gravel aero. If you're like Keira, curve it around the front. Oh, in the second photo, you can even see how flush that is. It's almost like she's put spray mount on the back, made it like it's just perfect.
It's very good.
That is 10 out of 10.
It's very good.
Also, that paint job is excellent, and look how good the branding of Ribble is there.
The little speckles on the fork is one of those things that I thought I would not like, but it just gives it a bit of extra character. I like it.
God damn it, Keira.
It's like a one-piece bar and stem.
Very versatile.
Can sometimes cause issues because you can't change it. It might, if you don't know, if your fit isn't dialed in and you know exactly what stem and bar width you need. If you get a one-piece, it's going to cost you a lot of money to then make some changes to it. What I do know about Keira is she will have her fit absolutely dialed in, and therefore she'll know exactly which one to get hold of.
It's what you get with years of experience.
What is that logo on?
I don't know. Is that one of their sponsors?
Ribble Collective.
Yeah. I think Ribble have two teams. One is this collective, and then they have a crit team as well. They're doing a lot to support the local UK scene, and not UK if you're based in Spain.
I think the crit team also has Americans in it, and maybe one or two Germans. So it's
not UK at all.
No.
They're doing stuff to support cycling. All right, what's your rating? To make the rating easier, do you want to ride that bike?
No. I have no rational reason for that. I'm sure it is a wonderful bike to ride, but for some reason, a completely irrational reason, I just don't look at that and get excited to go and ride it. So for that, I'm going to give it an arbitrary 6.7 out of 10. Actually, you hit the nail on the head. Ribble are supporting people like Keira so that they can keep racing and do things that perhaps they wouldn't necessarily be able to do otherwise. So I'm gonna, for that reason, increase my rating to 7.8 out of 10.
Next, Cam Jeffers. Ex-elite bike racer, podium the Tour Series, is the world record, hour record Boris bike holder.
Didn't he do it like
You can tell we're doing this in one take. He did it in Regent's Park on a Santander bike, hour record. Back in the day, he used to make vlogs here on YouTube, and now he does pretty insane challenge videos. So, hello, Cam.
Hello, it's me, Cameron. This is my bike. Well, not strictly my bike, this is my dad's bike. He's very kindly lent it to me for the time being whilst I sort out a new bike for myself. It is a Specialized, I believe it's a Alley. Specialized alley. I don't know, it's not a top spec one, but actually this is a fantastic bike. I really do like this. I longed it out a little bit. I put a 130 stem on the front there, as you can see, make it a little bit more stretched, more racy, and yeah, we got some Hunt wheels, just kind of the standard Ultegra 11-speed Di2 throughout. It's a disc brake bike, and yeah, I mean, there's nothing too fancy about this. It does the job. I think it looks pretty sweet. I've done a few races on it this year already, and it performs well.
First up, that is a fancy bike, Cam. That's a very fancy bike.
It's a tarmac, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's like a very...
It's really good. What we're saying, Cam Jeffers' dad, baller. It's not an S-Works, is what Cam's trying to say.
It shows how long he's been a bike racer for in like actual bike teams. That he's standing on the side of the road with Prada sunglasses, a nearly but not quite top end Specialized, and he's just like, I don't know, it's like a cheap alloy bike or something. I hate to say it because I don't want to ever encourage people to put on stems that are really long.
Obviously it does. I swear, I'm riding the rim brake Scott that I'm riding around at the moment, I'm commuting on, the one with the little tiny chainring. That is a shorter and taller frame than the other Scots. And because of that, you've got a 120 stem on it, little frame, massive stem. Does look good.
It just looks good.
It does look good.
Paint scheme, I'm a fan of. Specialized put their logo in a weird place, don't they? It feels like it should be like up.
Further up.
Because they're like...
You said this about elves in the past, but that was so far down you couldn't even see the start of the word.
Well, I think it's quite a lot of brands.
Because the painters just do it before they've built it into a bike.
Yeah. They don't even know it's going to be a bike.
A beautiful thing. I don't know what this is. I don't.
Odd bottle cages, which I am very comfortable with because it doesn't matter if things match or not. The paint scheme is sick. The stem looks wicked. The drop on the handlebars is not to my liking, but it still looks great.
Cam is like 20 foot tall. Because we said the reason I've thought about his height carefully is because obviously YouTube boxing is a thing. If there was to be boxing matches within the cycling world, I would not want to fight Cam because of reach. That was my conclusion.
Because he's probably the same weight as you, to be fair.
Same weight class. Yeah. I'm pretty dense.
Mentally.
In many ways.
Another saddlebag! Yes!
Sensible saddlebag. That's got a lot of space. I wonder if that was Cam's saddlebag or his dad's saddlebag. Basically, I think Cam's dad has worked this stuff out.
Schwalbe, 1 tyres.
I wish my dad had a bike this good I could steal when I was down in London.
Durace rotors. Ultegra Di2, 11-speed, sick group set. That is a mint bike. Bloody YouTubers and their fancy bikes.
Arguably, that's a better bike than he was racing on.
Do you think his dad rode that bike slammed, or do you think he's mugged his dad off and chopped him?
Points off, Cam. You can't be chopping your dad's bike up. He's never getting it back. It's higher rated than the stock Specialized Venge, for sure. So it's got to be at least 7. I'm giving it a 7.
For me, that's way better than a Venge. Like, because I look at that and I look at a Venge and I go, it's this super beefy aero bike that just isn't me, and I can see how for some people it is. I look at that bike and I go, yes, I want to ride that bike. I want to see what that's like because I feel like it is going to be like ooh, 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 ooh. So I give a S-Works Venge 5 out of 10 in a historic video.
Yeah, he did.
For me, that's an 8 out of 10.
We have Josh Reid.
Oh, little Josh Reid.
That
implies. Let's undo that bit. Right, small. Like, we are small, but he's very small. He's a tiny guy.
He is an ultra racer, YouTuber, and more importantly, he cycled home from China and made a movie, which a lot of you may have seen because it's got a gazillion views on YouTube. He was actually backpacking with his mates, ended up in China, and then just was like, see you later, guys. Bought a bike from the giant factory in China and then cycled it home.
Well, I don't think he bought it.
Remember,
we have to assume that all bikes and people in this video are sponsored.
Hey Francis, hey Jimmy. It's a giant Revolt and it rode 15,000 kilometers over 4 months through 19 countries and I didn't get a single puncture.
The reason he didn't get a puncture is because he weighs about 20 kilos.
Yeah, but look how much stuff he's got on the bike.
It was full of air.
The only real issue I had with the bike.
The only real issue I had with the bike. I know for a fact, police raided his room and like took him to prison. And he didn't even put that in the movie.
The problem with the bike is, because, you know, he's a tiny guy. He shouldn't have been riding a giant bike with giant wheels.
Was a bolt snapping on the front pannier rack on the border of Afghanistan on the Pamir highway, just due to the amount of weight I had in the two front panniers. I ended up zip tying it to the forks and it lasted all the way back. My tyres started delaminating in Turkey, so in Istanbul I put some more sealant in the tyres in a giant bike shop and it fixed the issue. That was the lucky thing on this trip, is there's giant bike shops all the way around the world, so whenever I had issues I was able to pop into one of those.
For complete clarity, I absolutely love Josh. He's a Newcastle lad. We see him all the time. He's always in backyard. He's absolutely mint.
He's the best guy.
He's massively inspiring to me, because when he did this ride from China, he was like 21, 22 years old. Very like, I don't want to say timid. He's quite like almost shy. Yet to ride 15,000 kilometers from China through so many non-English speaking countries all the way back, and to be just so calm about it, and then some of the stories about being chased by wolves on the side of mountains and things, is unbelievable. He is massively inspiring to me because he is someone that can be so calm, and you know, he's not big and bolshy and just like boshing his way around, yet is confident enough to do stuff that I would never even consider, because I would just too scared. Just as simple as that, too scared. This guy's a legend. Check out his long video.
Do it. Being calm is how he gets through the situations like that, isn't it?
Totally.
His personality and that kind of challenge mesh very well.
It does look alright, actually.
Interesting weight distribution. That's
looks
wild.
Very heavy on the front.
I know,
But maybe I'm right. It is just air.
Who knows?
There is obviously weight on the back, but that does look like perhaps it's just bulky clothes stuff. Who knows? This is the third bike that I'm going to talk about bottles on, and this is actually a scenario where Fidlock does work. Because he's got that frame bag, he is not going to be able to get those bottles in and out. If he had Fidlocks, which
Very easily.
Which I hate,
Yeah.
he could just go whoop, 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 sideways.
I'll put them sideways. Yeah. You can actually get, not that Josh needed it because he actually cycled over from China without any of our help, but I'm going to mention it anyway for the occasional viewer who might be interested. You can get bottle cage bolt extenders, which move your bottle down very, very slightly. And as you can see, there's a little gap in the bottom there. So you could get that lower, or you can get the front one lower, or higher.
Which is actually what I do on quite a few of my bikes, because...
Tiny frame.
Yes. Which that also is,
exactly.
tiny frame.
This is a problem with
tiny frame
riders who are small, and if you've got a small frame, you can't fit the bottles in, which is annoying.
I am a big fan of the hat that he has hanging off the back of his bike. As someone that is follically challenged, sun protection on my head is something I take quite seriously, and having some form of large brimmed hat is very useful.
I imagine going like that, you'd be very aero as well. A fairly entry-level Shimano group set. One of the cranks that just says Shimano on. I don't know off the top of my head. It's a perfect example of you don't need a really fancy bike to be able to do this kind of trip. The spec on it isn't excessively expensive. The frame's pretty good.
Yes, it is still a full carbon bike, though.
Yeah, exactly.
Correct. You are right in what you're saying. It is a great example of, and Josh is a great example of it as well. It's just kind of that kind of...
whatever.
You can do it in whatever way you want attitude. Yeah. Like, you know, in his pack setup, he just kind of went for it. There's a picture of him riding just in like casual clothes and a baseball cap. And that is so Josh, isn't it?
Just jorts. Yeah.
Just kind of like, just doing it. Just no fear.
It makes me want to go. I might have to go, Jimmy. See you later. Giant bikes do not excite me, but this giant bike does excite me. Therefore, it is getting a 9 out of 10 just purely on epic points.
Because I think Josh is an incredibly inspiring person and has inspired me personally, but I also think he is a very good role model for cycling as a whole. I'm going to give him 10 out of 10, but the bike I don't care about.
Next up, we have Mary Spender, singer-songwriter, guitar YouTuber, and the creator of the most viewed Bike Fit Tuesdays video in existence, which was called I've Been Suffering for 10 Years, or something like that.
What other interesting facts do you have about Mary Spender?
She played at my wedding.
I also have an interesting fact about Mary Spender.
What's that?
When we rode across Spain and I got food poisoning and then we got a taxi to Barcelona, you went out on the beers with Mary Spender and I have never seen you so... Your level of hungover after a night hanging out with Mary Spender was my level of hungover from severe food poisoning.
Hi, my name is Mary Spender and this is my giant Defy.
That was unexpected. Giant like using lots of giant stuff, don't they? So I'm gonna guess they're giant tires, giant wheels, giant bars, giant everything.
Top end carbon frame comes with integrated seat post and stem.
I like the colour scheme. It's very nice.
It's really good, isn't it?
It's almost a bit matte.
Outline of the text. It's usually just block, isn't it? Whereas it's just an outline. It's very good.
Do you remember the Cannondale CAD X that I had resprayed by Tom at Custom Flow?
Yeah.
That you despised because it was like
Brown. Yeah.
That had gold outline Cannondale text on it.
Yeah.
You probably don't remember because you've written it out of your mind.
Yeah. I had to not look at it.
Yeah, me
It
too.
hurts me too.
It's terrible, wasn't it?
It's terrible.
This, however, looks great.
Gorgeous.
And I also like that Mary has got kit, whether it's given to her or not, that actually complements the colour of the bike as well. Do you know the weird thing is, the last time we did this, nearly everyone had GP 5000 tyres.
And now there's none.
And now there's no GP 5000s, but everyone's got something attached to their saddle. Everyone now has had either a saddlebag or, well, actually it is still a saddlebag, just a very big one in the case of Josh Reid. Giant one.
Full of Conti GP 5000s.
Let's ruin this bike.
You can't. Oh wow, you've changed. That light's a bit crap.
Yes, good shout.
Yeah, that looks like the free lights you get with Decathlon.
They're not gonna light anything, are they?
No.
Yes.
That's what you get, man.
Those tyres look sick. I don't know what they are, but I'm really into big volume tyres that have no tread on the middle, but a bit of grip on the edges.
There's Mary. Minus points for Wahoo because we're sponsored by Garmin.
It's interesting, isn't it? Because Giant are clearly massive.
Massive. They make bikes for other people. The only Giant I've ridden two. I've ridden the original Propel, and I've ridden a Trinity after servicing it in London for not very far.
Is the Trinity the TT?
Yeah, the TT bike.
Chris had one, didn't he?
Yeah. And not very far because it was just outside the bike shop, making sure it was working after servicing it. And both of them felt very nice. And they were both, well, the Trinity was not easy to service, but that's all TT bikes.
Correct.
Like I said about Josh's bike, Giant doesn't excite me. This one hasn't been ridden home from China, so I have to be harsh and give it a 6.5.
I'm with you. I'm going to give it 7 because I love matte paint. And that has got a matte paint job. And I do like that fade. Paint job's sick.
Next up, we have Chris Miller from the Nero Show. He's also an absolute beast of a bike racer. I've seen this picture of this bike already.
Oh, I haven't.
Okay, I'll show you it then.
So gentlemen, let me introduce you to Olive. Olive is a Cervelo S5 with reserve 63 52mm wheels. I've set them up tubeless. The tyres on there are 30mm. And I don't know whether this is the most interesting part, but I've set it up one byte. So we've got a 50-tooth chainring on the front and a 1033 cassette at the back. Now guys, this bike is what happens when you listen to all the things, you read all the things, and you believe all the things, and you end up with a full Kool-Aid spec. Now I can't wait to hear what Jimmy thinks of this because I know he's big into the whole performance space. He just loves it, just can't get enough of it. So what do you think, guys? Let me know.
I love this guy. He's great,
I know
isn't he?
you do.
He's so good.
This is such a sick bike.
If you were to, and he has hit the nail on the head with the Kool-Aid, if you were to go Aussie crit racer, what bike are they going to have? Bosch. Is that chain even? That's going to be some...
It's the oil slick.
Oh, it's the oil slick.
What do they call it? Do they call it oil slick? No, they call it like rainbow or something weird in the on the spec sheet.
I think that colour is sick as well.
Reserve wheels are Cervelo's brand.
Yes,
is that right? So that's all matching. 30mm tyres, racing on 30mm tyres. Some people will be like, "Ooh, like wide tyres are slow." I guess this is proof that they can be raced.
Because it doesn't have a traditional steerer tube. It doesn't have to have a stem that like drops. It's actually going up, and that's presumably because it's so low.
Does it not have some kind of tube that does protrude through and then that's a fairing on the front?
Well, it'll probably be like a TT bike, which actually has a bolt that bolts the fork to the frame.
Seems like you'd want to be friends with a mechanic if you had one of these.
Yeah, it definitely does. That chainring is a beast of a chainring for a group set like that.
This is what I had before I had to change it.
Yeah.
Which is now on my gravel bike. But because the gravel bike has a giant 50-tooth cassette, it's fine.
The saddle's slightly pointing down, which I guess is all part of him just being like a mega aggressive bike racer.
The bike is being lifted up slightly from the rear, so it's not as... It might be pointing down a tiny bit usually. Scroll through.
Didn't you tell me he's actually really old?
I didn't say really old.
Because he looks fantastic.
You've had this chat about how old you guys are. He was born in 81.
I've chatted to him.
Yes, your memory is like really bad. He looks very good for his age.
I would also like to caveat,
I
don't have any issues with performance. I love fast bikes, but the thing that I push back on is that people that are not interested in performance and fast bikes do not necessarily need them. So that's the point on that. That bike, however, is sick. I do want to ride that bike. I'm going to give it, especially because I love a bike that's got a load of pop and character and panache, is that a word? Why is he in a car park with trucks?
That's where crits are, isn't it?
9 out of 10.
I am also giving it a 9 out of 10.
That's it.
The only reason it's not a 10 out of 10 is because I wouldn't choose yellow, green, or whatever that is. Both of those colours. Olive colour. Next up we have Honor Elliot, host of the Honor and Theo YouTube channel.
I've never met Honor. I have chatted to her quite a lot though, and I think she is mint.
On their channel, they document grassroots racing, loads of stuff about the London cycling scene, and dogs.
Do they still live in a canal boat?
Yes.
So they also document canal boat life and the bike that we're about to see, which is without a doubt the most unique one on this list.
This is our Omnium Minimax cargo bike. I'd really love to fight stereotypes of women in cycling, but unfortunately all I can say is that I really like that it's pink and I really like that it carries my dogs. Up, good boy, up, good dogs. So we're going to hand over to Theo for the technical specification.
Okay, so it's a size small, so it fits Honor, and then I put the seat up really, really high, and then it kind of fits me. There's a lot of spaces here, okay? We're going to cover this up. The top one is carbon, so it saves some weight. Brooks C17, super comfortable saddle for both of us. So group set wise, we've got GRX crank at the front and we've got Dior 10 speed at the back. It's completely filthy and it's completely worn out because it gets ridden every single day and has done for maybe the past 4 years. Wheels wise, they come from Halo and sound really good. At the back we've got a Super Drive hub laced to a T2 rim, and at the front we have a SP Dynamo laced to a T2 rim. T2 rims are fantastic cargo bike rims, mostly because they match. You can't always get a 20-inch and a 700C. The Dynamo isn't plugged into anything at the moment, and that's just because I've not sorted everything out. You go up there, mate. Under here is a custom CNC'd metal mount that I designed and made at work, which means that we can mount a Dynamo light underneath and tuck it away. I didn't put it far enough away, so currently the light bangs into there and you can't fit it on there. We've got this like super limited edition Chinelli Mash stem.
It's like a Thompson stem.
There's not very many of these, it's quite rare actually, it's really nice. And we've got carbon Thompson mountain bike handlebars because that's literally what I had in my parts bin.
This is Carlo, our little husky, and then this is Picasso, our seal. Also not sponsored, except for the wheels.
Yeah, so
go and buy Halo wheels.
I can't believe it, it's a world first. We've got a Roast My Ride which has 2 10 out of 10 bikes in it.
Dynamo. That's one that my one hasn't got. Your one, which is not my one. I've stolen Jimmy's Omnium. Oh, so I have an almost identical version, one of these bikes, but electric.
The key things about this bike that stand out for me as being mint are It's got mud guards. If you've got a bike like this, it's going to get dirty because you're going to be using it all the time in all weathers. Makes sense having mud guards. You can put massive tyres on them so you actually still have loads of big grip. Like you see from this one, that front tyre has got massive knobbles on it, which is going to make it super grippy. Bearing in mind it being small, it combats that.
With the because of how the weight distribution works on the bike, the front wheel, despite being very small, does feel very planted. Because even with nothing on the front, there's a lot of pressure on the front wheel.
Yeah.
So it's not like you're sitting upright beach bike, which just washes out. It doesn't feel like that when you're riding it.
Well, we've been out. Before you had the bike, there were numerous times that we went out, did some commuting. I was on the cargo bike, you on a road bike, and it was basically like race pace.
Yeah.
Bearing in mind the one that I had a motor on it, which was very powerful. So like, you can absolutely hoon these bikes.
Yeah. So not only is that extremely functional in that they can carry the dogs on it, but I met up with these guys for coffee last time I was in London last week. And they turned up with 2 people on one bike. It's a beast it's so well made. Like the steering, the linkages that go like this, the parallelogram thing.
Yeah.
It's just all of it feels so solid and good.
Bear in mind though, they're not cheap bikes. So like, it's many thousands of pounds to get a bike set up.
Yeah,
like
but
that.
it replaces your car.
My personal belief is that the electric bike regulation needs to be tweaked in this country to make it more accessible. So for example, having a bike like that, if it didn't have the right electric motor, like for example, the one that is on your bike, it isn't suitable for places anywhere other than London that are pan flat. If you make a bike like that electric with the right motoring, you can do anything on it. It can legitimately replace a car, or perhaps a second car if you live somewhere quite rural. I love how they use their bike. I love the colour. I love that they use it instead of a car. I love that it's got little teddy bears hanging off it. I love that they've got really cute dogs.
I have one roast.
Yep.
I've tried that saddle. It's the most uncomfortable saddle in the world for me. 9.8.
10 out of 10.
Next up, we have Tony Fawcett. If you watch this channel, you've probably seen him. He has a YouTube channel called Noutdaft. He is the definition of a local legend. He podiumed the National Cyclocross Champs for his age group. He's just an absolute weapon on mountain bikes, road bikes, whatever.
A very strong caveat on this one is he is the UK marketing manager for Scott Bikes. So I'm going to assume it's a Scott.
Probably.
I also know this is going to be thoroughly entertaining.
Hey Jimmy, hey Francis. This is my Scott Foil RC Pro 23 model. It's full Dura Ace and I'm running the Syncross Capital SL wheels, which are brand new out. A one-piece carbon wheel set. The bike's like a rocket ship. Please be kind with the roasting, because this thing is my pride and joy. And if you're nasty, you'll probably make us cry.
Hello Francis. Hello Jimmy. You better be kind, otherwise I'll come and find yous. But most of all, Noutdaft.
He knows where the studio is, and he knows where my house is. He doesn't know where your house is.
I don't think he does, no.
Okay. I'll come and live at your house for a bit. I think you're going to be safe, Tony, because this is another very hard to roast bike. You've got basically not the toppest of the top end of foils, but it's the very, very high end one. I have yet to ride these carbon spoke Syncross wheels. Full Dura Ace, the newest version, 12 speed, in our size.
That is actually that's probably my
your
size. That'll be an
it's probably
extra
your
small,
size, yeah, extra small.
It looks like he's got quite beefy tyres on there, actually.
He likes a Vittoria. He always rides Vittorias on mountain bike as well. And then he always punches. And then he always borrows my inner tube. And then he comes round to my house like 3 days later with the inner tube that he's borrowed off me. And folded back up.
Oh, of course.
And then sets it back. It's a lot of work. And this has happened like 5 times. You should probably just carry an inner tube with him.
This is the first bike that doesn't have something attached to the saddle.
That's because his stuff is inside. And when I say stuff, I mean sports pies. He just puts pork pies
and calls
in
them
his
sports pies.
Yeah, sports. Well, he's going to release. Well, I probably shouldn't be telling people this. He's going to release them as his merch. Sports pies.
Sports pies, right?
Usually in the cargo shorts.
He's got one of those computer mounts that sticks out of the front, and then he's got his front light stuffed underneath it. It's just super neat.
Yeah. It's annoying. Like Keira, he's so experienced. He's got his fit down to a T. He's got his equipment down to a T. Every bike of his will have the same like fittings and things.
I've actually been riding that group set. I know it's outrageously expensive, but I've been riding it on my road bike over the last couple of weeks, and it is just sick, man. It's so good. What I don't like about that bike, well, actually, there's two things I don't like about that bike.
Oh, okay.
One is, if anything needs changing, you're going to need a mechanic. It's like when cars started getting really complicated, that you needed like special equipment and special computers that you have to use a professional mechanic. That's kind of like the bike version of that.
That's the same with Keira's bike. That's the same with Chris Miller's bike.
I guess it's so neat, that bike, that it really stands out how integrated everything is. Like everything is
It's just well designed. The front, it looks really good, doesn't it? Really good.
My second critique.
Yeah.
I just am not drawn towards super aero bikes.
That's fair.
I'm just not. I prefer nimble-looking, climbery kind of bikes.
You're very qualified to talk about this bike because we have done a video where you've tested the climbing version and the aero version of Scott's top-end bikes.
Literally in the winter.
And I think we both preferred the climbing version, if we were going to buy it.
Onto our scale of, do you want to ride it? For me, the answer is no.
Oh, the answer is yes for me. I enjoy my bike. I would definitely enjoy that bike. And I really want to try those wheels. 7.5.
This is a 5 out of 10.
No!
It is a 5 out of 10.
I'll come and find you.
Next up, we have Mitch Boya, famous for racing up incredibly steep streets like the one in Pittsburgh and documenting his journey from becoming, in his words, an average cyclist to an above average cyclist.
Hi, I'm Mitch Boya. I'm probably most well known for riding up stupidly steep streets, and this is my Rita Esprit. Rita is a local boutique brand here in LA. They design their frames with a legendary steel frame builder, Tom Kellogg, and they use that geometry on their like flagship carbon road bike. Some of the stuff I like, it has all the modern elements like an integrated cockpit, but then some kind of classical elements, like it does not have dropped seat stays. It's also got room for 35 mil wide tires. I've got 30s on there right now. I almost said 32 because they measure out to 32. They're on their other carbon wheels, which are pretty wide, and that's why the tires are almost 32s. Anyways, I love it. Please roast it.
Video production, absolutely spot on with excellent audio. Secret hidden lav mic.
It's not that hidden, is it?
Either that or it's just the shape of his chest.
I actually nearly bought one of these frames.
This is like an old, I say old.
Probably a decade ago, I nearly bought a frame that these guys made.
They do the one with the Flanders colours. Like that's their...
Yeah.
And it was bands on the frame set.
Yeah, there was one that
Gorgeous
it looks a bit like this, but it was like a blue colour, and it was just interesting. I was always looking for like interesting, unique bikes. I like the look of it. I like the branding is almost like a chrome. The placement of the branding is fantastic. It's helped by the fact it's a small word. Group set looks sick. We know that group set's going to absolutely bang. That is a very slick top-end bike. Budweiser themed bottle cages.
Is that a giant oversized jockey wheel thing?
It must be.
Yeah.
Oh, that is a good looking bike.
It's a really well put together bike. Picture.
Do you know what? That's a really interesting term that you've used there, and that's what it is, isn't it? It's well thought out. It's built well. It's clean. It's maintained. The bar shape is really nice and like there isn't anything wrong about that bike apart from the bottle cages, which I know for a fact do not grip bottles very well.
That might be a lie. A good steel bottle cage, which you just bend inwards, can be very, very grippy on a bottle.
Yes, if you bend it in so much that then it shreds the bottle when you're putting it in and out, yes. Do I want to give that bike a ride?
Yes.
Absolutely. Especially those handlebars, they look sick. That is a nice shape. I'm going to give that a 7.8. No, I'm going to round it up to 8 because the bottles are Budweiser themed and I think that's cool. So I'm giving that 8 out of 10.
I'm giving it a 9. I'm trying to make friends with Mitch because I'm going to be in LA in the summer and I want to ride with him. As always, thank you for watching. Let us know which YouTubers you would like to see next in the next episode of Roast My Ride Celebrity Edition, which is more like Rate My Ride. Subscribe.
Also, feel free to roast these bikes in the comments. There's a weird thing on the screen.